If you're sitting in a flooded room in Western India somewhere, watching this on your mobile, I have good news for you. We just got green overnight, believe it or not. So, yes, just recently, Crisil published the first ever rating of Indian companies on ESG ranking. 225 companies were rated and ranked. E is for environment, S for social, G for governance. Let's just call it going green. If you look at the index of the stock market in India, say the BSE Sensex or the Nifty 50, you will find that a large proportion of the stocks there are either financials or IT. And the Crisil report says that on ESG factors, these sectors are doing just great. So, automatically, a proportion of the Indian indexes are reasonably good green stocks. And if I was to rank top mutual funds based on their constituents, they may have the same set of winners, bellwethers, pinch hitters in them. And that would make many of those funds largely green. Of course, professionally, I'm working on all things ESG with clients over the last several months. ESG is so much the flavor of the day. You do remember the VSS Money video, right? I am an accountant. And accountants can't help reconciling numbers, right? They just drill that into you. So while working on ESG, I was trying to reconcile the stated ESG assets in the US, which are supposed to be $17 trillion. It grew to that in just a couple of years. And I'm trying to compare that to the inflow of new money into funds as reflected in verifiable data. Now, the total new money into funds is in billions, tens of billions. But I promise you that's nowhere near the total reported assets under management for green funds, which is, as I said, in trillions. Um, the data supporting those trillions is going to be somewhere else, not in new money, probably shifts. And they're going to treble in the coming years by some estimates to cross 50 trillion. Now, some part of it is coming from a generational change in wealth in the US, where money is going to move from baby boomers through inheritance to millennials. And the millennials are all ESG friendly. But some part of this is also getting up in the morning and discovering that the old thing that your granddad gave you is suddenly in fashion and suddenly you're green. I could extend that and immediately say that over so many billions in assets under management in India are green, and we too could report quantum leaps. I mean, imagine that. You might be on WhatsApp watching hills crumbling in Himachal, washing away roads, people, and bridges. But hey, we're green. I particularly like that Kinnor video for putting the development versus environment debate squarely in our face. One particularly vicious boulder took aim at and hit squarely and directly a bridge, setting back the connectivity of people in that area by I don't know how much. You want to develop at the cost of environment? Mother Nature seems to ask. I will square the debate for you, she says, by undoing your development. If anyone needs a pat on the back for going green well before time, it's the one who thought up of gigawatts of solar farms. I still remember the shock the auto sector showed when Nitin Gadkari asked them to go green, go electric, and that he was going to usher out all the ancient smoke belching vehicles on the road, and the transporters groaned. Now, with this ESG mania, those same honchos are going to be putting their green credentials out for everyone to see. Hell, even Indigo wants to spiff up its ESG creds. Did you see that WhatsApp joke? The groom's father boasts that the boy works in Infosys. And the bride's father replies, "Oh, the bus company." That's what the father knows about the IT sector. They ferry millions of people back and forth every day in inefficient private transportation. South of Chennai, there is this place called Siriseri. Lots of ID companies. It's, I think, some 20 change kilometers down the road from one edge of Madras. Guess how they come and go? With diesel gensets for backup, though I'm told the power situation is vastly improved. With extra security and rerouting cabs for all those extra miles to make sure that the girl is not the last one to be dropped off somewhere in the bylanes of suburban Gurgaon. I'm pretty sure we are green. And let me wonder aloud, in the fire escape or under the stairs at any one of our BPOs, will we see heaps of discarded monitors, keyboards, and all manners of devices? If we don't see such heaps, if those e waste are properly taken care of, then all is good. You want to score folks on ESG? You got to lean out of the window of the boardroom, look behind the gen set or wherever that they dump stuff. The problem is reusing electronic stuff is not as simple as getting Dadaji's umbrella fixed and reusing it. We, in any case, have moved from repairing to replacing, and in things electronic, that's oftentimes the only thing that you can do. While on this happy subject, I hope you've seen this video from, I think, the UK on an Amazon warehouse destroying perfectly good products because it's way more expensive to return unsold stock to the seller. That included perfectly good iPads, MacBook Air computers, and so on. I was like, don't they know where I live? I did update my address. Why are they not just sending it over to me? I'm crazy about all things Apple. E-commerce has brought its share of grief in the green space with heaps of packaging, which we now get in an assortment of interesting shapes and sizes. I remember once getting a feather duster all of 2.5 feet in length in a cardboard tube the length of some 3 tube lights. In our home, Amazon is the carton wali company that has made OTP a well known concept with the household help. But in the returns business, I assure you, e commerce causes us no pain. I mean, returns in India? These Americans are crazy, as Obelix would say. In the US, returns is just an extension of a policy from traditional retailing for decades. But in India, you got to be crazy and desperate to win market share and whatever else. But to the point, returns in e commerce in India is not necessarily an ESG unfriendly thing. I came across someone, and this is real, who has got a good business going, doing, guess what? Getting rid of returns for the e-commerce gang because they will not sell it as new stuff. So refurbish, repack, bump it down the food chain to lesser mortals. Yes, sir and lady, there is a market for everything in India. Meanwhile, at the other end of the mortal scale is Valli Arnachalam, fighting to find a proper seat on the board at the Murugappa group, which she characterizes as a diversity issue as much as a governance issue. And I dare say she's a bold lady, and I dare say as well that there are others, which reminds me most recently of another board fight at a well regarded newspaper. Uh, she's a bold woman. She's fighting it. The Crisil report says 1 in 10 employees in Indian companies are women. And so that's already a bias. How many of them do you think rise to the top? Gender diversity, environment friendliness, corporate governance, and all of that. You have to wonder about it. But that's the thing about ESG mania. If money pushes for change, change will happen. Initially, there will be greenwashing aplenty. Move over whitewashing. Green is the new white. Pretend green is called greenwashing. And as standards and scrutiny improves, helped along by the likes of Crisil, we will go green. Even if, as Nitin Gadkari might say, we get there kicking and screaming.